Mike, our...
Just make up for the extra time.
Well, whatever you want to do.
My name is Mike McMullin. This is Phil Wheeler. We're with the Nodding Wild Onions from Rochester. Extensively traveled all over Rochester. Almost every neighborhood in Rochester. I want to tell a quick story connected to John. He loved to tell Scandinavian folk tales that often involved impish little characters that would steal things, make them disappear. And John had that glint in his eye that I'm sure all of those characters had. He had that impishness. So in May, after John passed away, my wife and I were in Belize. We had to be there for a wedding. And it was really hot. It was almost 100 degrees. I was in a house that was not air conditioned, just drenched with sweat. And I was also sitting on the toilet. And I thought I might as well turn on my cell phone for a minute and see if there were any critical emails or anything. And sure enough, I had that cell phone on for 3 minutes. I know John had something to do with this. It was a call from NPR. They wanted to interview me about a story for The Current about John. They wanted to know if I was busy. Well, it wasn't a time to go into detail, so I said no, we go ahead with the interview. And normally I try to stay in the moment. But I know that Mr. Berquist that day had me in the John.
So we are from the Nodding Wild Onions, two of us. John was one of the founding members of the Nodding Wild Onions, and he rejoined the band last year and brought to it all sorts of talent and gusto and audience engagement that we all need to learn better. And so we appreciate John. We've got other things to tell about him a little later, but we're going to start off with a song that we played a lot, Careless Love. That's not how we agreed to start, is it?
Just see what careless love can do. Once you said I was your beau. Once you said I was your beau. Once you said I was your beau. You'd follow me through rain and snow. I love my horse and my hound dog too. Yeah, I love my horse and my hound dog too. Yeah, I love my horse and my hound dog too. Leave them both to follow you. Gave you fine and fancy gifts. I gave you fine and fancy things. Yeah, I gave you fine and fancy things, but you refused my diamond ring. Now you've left me high and dry. Now you've left me high and dry. Now you've left me high and dry. You see my door and you pass right by. Love, oh careless love. Love, oh careless love. Love, oh careless love. Just see what careless love can do. Just see what careless love can do. Be careful out there. We're going to be one of the few groups that has words in case we forget what we're trying to sing. Normally, I look out at an audience and I calm myself down by saying, don't worry, there's nobody out there that can do this any better anyway.
So this next song,
Believe me, this isn't that audience.
this next song is a zoning complaint song. I used to be the city county planning director, and the county adopted an ordinance that finally allowed chicken coops in residential neighborhoods. About 2 decades after the city of Rochester did it. And one of our band members, a county commissioner named Stephanie Podolke, got a phone call late one night from an irate resident who said, what are you going to do about all those lesbian chickens? Because the county ordinance allowed hens, but no roosters. You'd have 3 hens. What are you going to do about all those lesbian chickens? She said, and Stephanie said, what do you mean? And she said, well, you don't got any roosters. There are going to be lesbian chickens overrunning the county. And so Stephanie talked to her a little bit and then told me about it. And the song practically wrote itself. John Berquist, I had to get this song done in time for the Rochester Pride Fest of July 2015 to perform. And so I brought the first 4 verses to John, and John said, you know, it's good, but it's got to have punch. You can't do this without a final verse. It's got no punch. John was a guy who not only had gusto, he was adamant when he was adamant, and he was dang adamant. And so I went back home and I wrote the final verse, and it's much, much better. And John actually sang this, I guess, up north. Marlise Riffel is going to join us. Oh. I think I should get over there.
I also think you should tell how the Nodding Wild Onions adds people.
Yeah, it's our tradition that we're gutless pukes, and so the more the merrier, you know. So we recruit people on the fly. Anybody else want to join us on this?
You've only got 3 mics.
I haven't learned this yet, but I practiced with them this afternoon.
All right.
I was the only lesbian chicken they could find.
I want to say, by the way, that it is a sing-along song. And it's to a tune that's all familiar to all of you. It's an Irish drinking tune. And the refrain is easily determined. And so you all sing, and that spreads the blame around.
You're all nodding wild onions today.
That's the tune, right?
There we go.
County has banned all the roosters from chicken coops in neighborhoods. Now one of the neighbors is worried those hens might be up to no good. Those hens she wonders what lesbian chickens might do. Turns out that without any roosters, the hens do get along fine. They lay all their eggs in the morning, and the rest of the day they sip wine. The rest of the day they sip wine, sip wine. The rest of the day they sip wine. They lay all their eggs in the morning, and the rest of the day they sip wine. Despite lacking rooster role models, the children are doing all right. The cocks are sufficiently cocky, and the chicks are exceedingly bright. The chicks are exceedingly bright, that's right, the chicks are exceedingly bright. The cocks are sufficiently cocky, and the chicks are exceedingly bright. So here's to the lesbian chickens on the right side of history again. For equal rights for all poultry, let's hear it for lesbian hens. Let's hear it for lesbian hens again. Let's hear it for lesbian hens. And equal rights for all poultry, let's hear it for lesbian hens.
I don't know how I hadn't heard that, but somehow I had never heard that.